All right. Hey, everybody. It's Heidi Hope, and it's FAQ Friday. Thanks for joining me today. We don't have a crazy amount of questions, which is great because I think we'll actually get through them all today. And in case you didn't know, to submit questions for FAQ Friday, you can join us on our Facebook page, the Heidi Hope Photography Facebook page, or you can find me on Instagram. It's Instagram. It's Heidi_Hope is my handle on Instagram. So you can leave your questions over there too. Last week we had so many questions. I didn't even get to half of them, I think. This week isn't so crazy, but if we ever have a week where I don't get your question, please resubmit it the following week. I think I always get to them all eventually, even if it takes a couple weeks. So keep an eye out for that. This is also the last FAQ Friday for 2 weeks. We're taking a little break and we'll be back, I guess, May. It'll be the middle of May. But the next 2 weeks, I'm really concentrating on the online workshop. I'm adding tons of content to it. I'm like reading 5 books right now and my head is swarming with ideas. So I got a lot going on for that. So I'm taking a little hiatus for the next 2 weeks and then we'll be back with FAQ Friday in mid-May. So keep an eye out for the next call for questions. Thank you everyone for your questions this week. Let's get right to them. So the first one I'm actually going to take from Instagram since I like Instagram so much and I want everybody over on the Instagram party. If you don't have an Instagram account yet and you're a photographer, you should create one. One, because it's an awesome way to share your photography. I really like sharing stuff from my iPhone photography, because I do so much with my big camera at work. Sometimes picking up the big camera just feels like work to me. But using my iPhone, I can still capture all the little details of my everyday life, which is what I love about photography, and I can share it really quickly and easily with everybody else. So if you're not on Instagram, get on over there. But it is also growing as a marketing tool. We talk a lot about business and marketing here on FAQ Friday and in general in all my workshops. And it's a great tool, and it really is growing. The audience is growing there. So get on over there if you're not already. Okay, so this question is from Cole Hunter on Instagram. Hi, Heidi. Oh, thank you. For FAQ Friday, what's the best piece of advice you would give to a hobbyist? I'm a science teacher by day, but photography is a passion of mine. Wow, the best piece of advice. I feel like I have so much advice. First of all, I used to be a teacher as well. And I think the best thing about people who become teachers are generally, we love learning. And that is great for any creative pursuit, any hobby that you have. So even if you are a hobbyist, I say really enjoy the learning process of it. There's always a new technique to learn. There's always, a new way of editing. There's always a new way of framing your subject. You can give yourself creative exercises, but enjoy that learning process, because I think when you are in business for photography rather than being a hobbyist, I think that sometimes we obviously have to pay attention to the bottom line of our business. And sometimes that original passion for just learning the art is kind of lost because it does become our 9 to 5. So if you're just a hobbyist, I say take as many classes as you can and workshops and read books and go online. There's tons of free resources, just like FAQ Friday, where you can learn a lot about photography without investing too much money. Things your equipment, that is a significant investment, and I think it's a worthwhile investment because I think it can improve the overall quality of your photography. But even before that point, especially if you're not at a professional level, the gear doesn't matter as much as really learning how to master the art of photography. Learn how to expose in manual. And you can do that type of stuff I learned on a Digital Rebel, an inexpensive camera. Now I think those are like $500 now. So it's an inexpensive piece of equipment that still does, as long as it has all those manual functions, you can learn everything that you want to do on this big camera, you can do on the Digital Rebel for a much smaller investment and master it there. And then when you upgrade to the better gear, you already know how to use everything on it. So that would be my advice, is just enjoy the learning process. Always keep learning, keep taking new classes and buying new books and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's pull up our questions from Facebook. Here we go. I do think we'll get to them all this week because it wasn't too crazy if I'm not blabby. Okay, this one's from Jessica. She asks, hi Heidi, do you use studio management software? I'm stuck with planners and physical folders and can't break the habit. I can't help but think that studio management software will help streamline the thoughts. Also, what type of business formation is Heidi Hope Photography? Oh my gosh. I always do FAQ Friday right after lunch. And now that I'm pregnant, I feel like all I do is burp. So, I'm sorry. I feel like every 5 seconds I'm like, excuse me. Anyways, so Heidi Hope Photography, I think you're saying what type of business entity are we? And we are a corporation, but you really want to talk to your accountant about what type of business entity you should be. A lot of people think that's something to ask your lawyer, and it's not necessarily. Your accountant is the best person who can tell you how you should register your business. And that might change over time, and it did change for Heidi Hope Photography. So when I started out, when it was just me and my laptop and my camera working out of my house, and it was not a big business for sure. I was just a sole proprietor. And then by the time we opened our first studio space, we changed it over to an LLC. And then once we started having employees and once we started making a certain amount, it made more sense to register ourselves as a corporation. So we're an S Corp. But it really has to do with what is going to work out best for you tax-wise, where you should be tax-wise. So that's something you definitely want to talk to your accountant about and make sure that you're under, the correct registration. It will save you the most money as a business. It will also you want to protect yourself and your assets as well. And as our business grew, when you're a sole prop, everything, if something ever happened within your business, your personal assets, could be subject to, if somebody were to sue you or if you went bankrupt within your business, then your personal assets could be in jeopardy. Whereas if you register as a different type of business, those are protected. Your personal assets are protected. So essentially, if Heidi Hope Photography ever did go bankrupt, it doesn't hurt me and Sean, our personal assets. And there's a whole host of other reasons that we are an S Corp as well. So that's something you want to talk to your accountant about. And then your other question, sorry, I got to go back because I don't even remember it. Studio management software. Okay. I get asked this so much when I teach, and I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for you. We use Studio Cloud. We don't really use it though, because we're also stuck in a folder system. And so we have physical folders like this right here, just little manila file folders. And when somebody books with us, we put all their information in here. And this is how I started doing it years ago. And it just works, and it's easy, and it's because a lot of people are working with the same clients, we just pass their folder around to whoever, if Caroline's doing design work, she gets the folder. If Sean's doing a sales appointment, he gets the folder. And so it's a way for us to easily, I understand you can do that all with technology as well, and it's probably even faster, but there's something about physically writing down, like if I'm in a pre-session consultation and they're giving me information about what they want in the session, I can jot it all down in their folder. It just is something tangible that we can kind of pass to each other, and it works. And so we're just stuck on it. But I know we would save probably so much time with some of our back end processes. And if we didn't have a big staff, I think that looking into studio management software or utilizing it a little better would be great. I think 17 Hats is one that I've heard really great things about. Studio Cloud is great. We just don't utilize it as much as we could. So if it were just me, if I were ever down to a one-person show again, I would absolutely invest in studio management software that automated a lot of my tasks. For example, if somebody booked, it would automatically send them a workflow of here's your contract, here's your questionnaire. So I think they're great, but unfortunately I don't use it. And so I don't really have good advice on it. Okay, let's pull the next question. This one is from Raquel. What beanbag do you recommend? And do you use only natural light for your cake smashes as well? Yes, we use only natural light for pretty much everything you see. Although Mary, when she is photographing newborns, she will use studio lights, but you definitely can't tell the difference between the two. But everything else you see is natural light, including when she's doing family work in the other room. So it's all natural light. And then what beanbag do you recommend? I think it's called a Newborn Nest. I bought it a long time ago, so I'm not really sure. I think it's called Newborn Nest, but it's one of the big newborn posing bean bags, and I think there's a few good brands out there. The one I bought was from Australia, and I'm sure there's somebody in the US making them too. That might save you a little bit on shipping too. But I've used everything, especially when traveling to teach. I've had to use an ottoman. I've used old bean bags that had no stuffing in them. So I've used a little bit of everything. And for me, I think it's the level of firmness. I like it to be a pretty firm surface. So if it is a super soft surface, I do whatever I need to do to make it a little bit more firm, whether it's like stacking blankets up or so whatever it is that I can do to kind of make a firm surface for myself. So that's that. Okay, I think I only have 2 more. I feel like I'm not making sense today. I hope I'm actually answering your questions. Okay, Katie asks, hi Heidi, here's my Friday question. How many newborn sets do you typically do in a session? Example, how many beanbag setups and how many prop setups? And then Heather follows up with a question, yes, and about how many shots total. So in our newborn sessions, we're generally doing 1 to 2 looks on the beanbag, and then we'll do 2 to 3 sets off the beanbag. So sets off the beanbag are like baskets and bowls and the hammock shot or the hanging on the branch. Those would be setups that are not beanbag posing. So 1 to 2 on the beanbag, 2 to 3 off the beanbag, and then family stuff. And it's either all the parent posing, or if they do with siblings, it's going to be, I'll do just parent stuff, I'll do full family stuff, and then I'll do just the siblings together. So that's kind of the flow of that. How many images? It's always 50 plus. It's at least 50 in the final gallery. And if it's a family and sibling shoot, it might be upwards towards like 75 in the final gallery. And that's not including black and whites. That's just like total final images. But we do give a lot of variety within each pose too. Like if I'm doing an image of a baby in a basket with flowers, which is a really popular image we do, it's not going to be just one. It might be like 5 or 6 in the final gallery from that, where I'm taking one far out and centered and then off to the side and trying to get interesting angles and details and all that kind of stuff, maybe just a close-up of the face. Because part of what's interesting to me in photography really is finding the beauty in whatever I'm photographing. So it's finding that interesting angle. It's finding when the light hits the subject just perfectly, makes it look magical. Those are things that I find really intriguing about photography. So I'm always looking for that within each setup that I do. Great question. Okay. Let's pull another one. Sylvia asks, hi Heidi, you probably answered this somewhere already, but I'm wondering, how do you market yourself? Calls, mailers, emails, what has worked for you? Sylvia, this is a loaded question. There are a lot of answers to it. But I will tell you that we really haven't spent a lot on marketing up until this past year, because I've just started experimenting with Facebook marketing, which I never did before. So up until now, we did all free marketing via social media, and we have a studio newsletter. So those 2 things, I think, have been so crucial to our business. And we're really on social media just about every day. We use our blog. We post to our blog every day. We're spreading that content out on social media. And then we have a studio newsletter, but I'm really not that great about sending it out. But I do send it out for specials. So I'm not like sending it out once a month on a regular schedule. But anytime we have a special, I use the studio newsletter to do that. And that is different. If you are signed up for our learning newsletter, that is different from the studio newsletter. So the studio newsletter is our clients, and it's people who are interested in our business locally. They get the studio newsletter, which is all studio updates. The learning newsletter, which you sign up for on the learning site, that is geared towards photographers, although tons of people subscribe to that are not photographers. Maybe they're just interested in business and different businesses in general, because I talk a lot about business as it relates as a whole, creativity and business as a whole, not necessarily just for photographers. But that is predominantly aimed towards, that audience. So in our studio newsletter, we'll send out specials and stuff there. So that is a form of marketing that's been really useful to us too. Usually if we do a special and we send it out through our newsletter, it's sold out in 24 hours. So that's been a great marketing tool as well. And I think it's even more important to grow your email list as changes in social media keep occurring, because you really don't own your social media audience. Your Facebook audience, you don't own them. You feel like you're spend all this time building these fans. You don't own them. Facebook owns them. So if you want to connect with them, Facebook controls how you connect with them. And all other platforms, essentially the same thing could happen on Pinterest, and it could happen on Instagram, and it could happen on Twitter. We just don't know. And any of those could be, not the popular place to be in 5 years. So you really don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, although social media is crucial, I think, to an online presence. You don't want to put all your eggs in that basket. So that's why your website and your email list are really your home base, and you should focus on those things as marketing efforts. But as far as what do, we do everything pretty much, except we don't take out magazine ads. We don't do paid ads like that. But otherwise, we do just about everything. Marketing's the lifeline of our business. So it's definitely really important to focus on for any size business. Okay, last question of the day. I'm so proud of us. We made it through all the questions together this week. Okay, this one's from Amy. What camera do you use and what's your favorite lens? I love your pictures. Thank you, Amy. I know I've answered this before on other episodes, but we're really bad about putting what's in every episode, so I feel bad telling you to go back and look through the old episodes, although you should watch them because they're all equally as entertaining. But I use the Nikon D4, and we have a D3 as a backup, and I still have my D700 around here somewhere too, which sometimes I still take because it's got a pop-up flash, so sometimes I take that home for, like, you know, if I just want to take pictures at like something at night. So those are the cameras we use. Lenses, we've got, I use mostly prime lenses. I do have a 70-200, but I mostly use prime Nikkor lenses. So I have the 50mm 1.4, the 35 1.4, the 85 1.4. Those are the most popular ones. We have a 105 macro. We have a 60mm macro. So we've got a little bit of everything, but that's me, Mariah, and Mary. We're all sharing equipment. So there's a lot to get passed around the studio. All right. Awesome questions this week. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining me. I will be back in 2 weeks. So 2 Fridays. We're skipping the next 2 Fridays. So it's the 3rd Friday from now that I will be back. So keep an eye out for the call for questions. As always, I love to hear what you thought of this week's episode. Down right below this movie, there should be a little thumbs up, and you can give it a thumbs up so that I know that you're watching, or leave me a comment and let me know what you thought was the greatest piece of advice from this week. And that way I know that I'm not talking to myself. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.